Hello, everybody. It's John and Ashley Fischer hosting tonight's call.
Hi.
Hi, y'all. And tonight we are talking to Sarah Keller. Sarah, are you on the line? You have to press *6 to unmute yourself. I'm sorry I didn't tell you that earlier, I don't think.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Hello.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. We're really excited because I've never heard your story, so this is a first for me. So I'm excited to share it. We were John and I were just kind of decided to do a little refuse to think series of calls because we know that there's tons of leaders out there who have just pushed on or have overcome some really difficult obstacles. And I'm really excited to have you share your story with us this evening.
Great. I'm happy to.
So will you start just by, how you found It Works Global, how you got started, and then a little bit about your story.
Okay, sure. And my story actually covers so much of kind of what you were wanting, so I'm just going to kind of go into that, and then if you have any questions after, I'm happy to answer anything.
That sounds awesome.
Okay, great. So I started bidding. First of all, I am a triple diamond leader with It Works, and I worked full time at a retailer, had a really successful job. I traveled all over the country, so I was very, very busy. I have two kids. I've got a 10-year-old and a 10-year-old boy and a little girl that just turned 8. And so with my full-time job, which kept me very busy, I was out of town usually three days a week and didn't really have much time for anything else. So when I started seeing an acquaintance, it wasn't even a friend of mine, she was just, somehow we became Facebook friends. And I started seeing her posting these before and afters, and I always looked but was a complete skeptic and thought, how in the world does that work? So I looked at it but not really closely. And about a month after she started posting, she started messaging me on Facebook and just saying, hey, I think you'd be really good at this. Have you ever heard of it? And would it be okay if I sent you some more information? And to be, I actually ignored her probably about 2 or 3 times that she messaged me. And then, just because I was busy, not for any other purpose of just, I felt like I didn't have time to even respond. So I finally responded to her and said, sure, send me some more information, but not even thinking or considering doing it. So that went on for probably 3 months. And she kept, usually about twice a month she would send me a message and just kind of touch base, like, hey, did you have a chance to look at the information I sent you? Or, I still think you'd be really great at this. And, I just pretty much politely declined. And so it was October of 2013. She messaged me about a bonus that the company was offering, and at the time it was called Christmas Cash. So she was telling me how I could earn an extra $500 pretty easily, and after kind of putting her off for a couple of months, or a couple weeks, I just decided why not. So I actually thought I want to try the product, and I knew I thought I wanted to be a loyal customer. And just the more that I thought about it in my head, it just made more sense to be a distributor. And because I didn't want to pay to be a loyal customer and then decide to sell it and then change over. So I signed up on November 1st of 2013 with one thing on my mind, which was to get an extra $500 for Christmas. I had no idea what I was doing. I've never done any network marketing. In fact, I was that person that was, this successful businesswoman that was like, oh, that is not a real business. This is, not anything I would ever do. And then here I was. And I honestly, the next day after I signed up, thought, I have no idea how this just happened. Like total buyer's remorse. So I just decided that I was just going to dive in. And like I said, I didn't have a lot of time. So I worked my business in the morning on, while waiting for a flight, on airplanes with the Wi-Fi, in between store visits, any little chance I got to post something on Facebook or send a quick message or follow up with a few people. That's just what I did. So I worked my business a lot from social media from the very beginning, just because that was all I really had time for. And then after I got my kids to sleep, I did a lot of work at night. And I just dove in, and I started messaging people, and to get the Christmas cash, you had to complete the steps to success. That was the bonus going on at that time. So I just used the steps to success as a checklist, and I still use it that way today. So I print it out, and I just write in the names as I complete it. And I'm a little crazy still to this day, because I think it was instilled in me from the get-go to earn the $500 that I'm super crazy about filling it out. So I will not go a month without completing it at least once. And so I just dove in. I completed my steps to success, got my $500 bonus, and things were going great. So I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to keep doing this, steps to success, and see kind of where it leads. So in January, I decided to go to conference on a complete whim. I went to conference as an executive, my first conference in 2014, and saw the vision and caught the fire, and they rolled out the good bonuses, just not the double good, just the good. And when I got back, I just kept doing what I had always been doing. I messaged people. I was, constantly talking about it anywhere I was at. I was passing out Blitz cards. I was leaving Blitz cards in the airports. Like any chance I got, I just worked my business while still working my full-time job. And in March of that year, I went diamond, and then in April, I went double diamond. So I got the $10,000 bonus, and then went double diamond in April and got my husband to diamond. So earned awesome bonuses right off the bat, and things were good. So I kept going, and when I hit double diamond in April, I didn't really, I wasn't doing anything different. I was continuing to do the same things, but what ended up happening is I built the business and with my sponsor a lot through Facebook, and Facebook was very different back then than it is today. So there was really no restrictions. Everyone could see your posts. If you had a page, if you had set up a business page, you posted on that, and thousands of people would see your post. Now, if you post on a business page, for anyone who doesn't know, maybe like 10 will see it. So it's totally not worth your time or your money. But what ended up happening is from April to probably June or July, my people just started. Everyone on my team just kind of lost the passion. I was building so fast that I had done a lot of it for them, and they were just dropping off. I had ruby legs quitting, the whole entire leg, and it just started falling apart. And I knew at that time, it was never even a question whether or not I would keep going. I lost my double bonus. My husband lost his diamond status, so we lost that bonus. And I maintained my diamond, but I'll never forget, in July of last year, I went to a good friend of mine, Stacy Dennis, lives here in Dallas with me, and we sat down together. She's like a couple uplines from me, but we sat down together, and I was like, okay, let's just look at my chart, because I really wanted to go triple. And I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I just knew I was going to do it at some point. And so we sat there and looked at my charts, and she just was like, let's figure out who's running their auto shipment and who's really working. And we just redid my charts. And you guys, I had like 7 people on my chart. It was crazy and actually really scary to think that, everything had really fallen apart. And I really was left with about 7 people who were really working the business. And so here I was sitting with a double diamond chart with 7 people on it, which, as we know, is not a double diamond. So I had a choice right there of, I could have quit. I could have walked away. It would have been easy to walk away, to get discouraged and just leave it. I was still working full time, but I knew that this was my future, and I knew that, again, it was just no question. I was just like, okay, well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pour into these people, and I am going to recruit like crazy, and I'm going to recruit some rock stars. And so that's what I did. I just I really hit it hard. I started reaching out to people, following up with people that I had been talking to for, ever since I first started. And I started enrolling some people who really saw the vision with me and who, I had known for years and maybe hadn't even talked to in 10 years, but it was like now we were back in touch and, we had worked together in the past, or we knew each other in the past, and it was a good working relationship. And I just stacked some people on my top line and completely basically rebuilt my entire tree. And so as I was, things were really starting to happen. They were enrolling people. I was still enrolling people like crazy, and my tree was really starting to come back together. My volume was consistently going up quite a bit every month, and things were looking good. So I sat down with my husband in September, and I'm a total risk taker. So, none of you guys know me, but I'm that person that's like, I see my dreams and I'm going there. I'm like a true entrepreneur. Nothing's going to stop me. And my husband is someone who does not like change at all. He is terrified of it, and he likes it to just stay comfortable. So it was never an option for me to stay home with my kids. It was always just, something that I had to do. I carried our insurance. I was, the breadwinner of the family, and it was just no option. Like, we moved to Dallas for my job. So when I sat him down and I said, okay, I had all the finances out on paper, and I said, I really want to quit my job and just put 100% into this. And things were much better at that time. I was so close to getting my double diamond back. And I just knew in my heart that if I could do this, I could do it. And I would just not allow anything else to stop me. So, through many, many conversations, he was finally like, you know what, whatever, just do it. And we had put ourselves in a position where everything at that point that I had made with It Works, I didn't touch any of it. I just let it bank up. And so we had that little nest egg of everything I had earned so far, which was definitely the reason we were able to do that. And so in September, the end of September of this last year, I resigned from my 20-plus year career that I had thought was my life and my future forever. And that was the best feeling I've ever had in my life. So I didn't really know what to do with myself once I finished out my notice, and I, had my kids were both in school, and it was just me and It Works. And it was kind of scary at first. I really didn't know what to do or how to do it in that much time, because I always just had little tiny bits of time. And so when I had this big whole entire day in front of me, I almost had like a guilt if I wasn't working the entire time, So it was a definite hard adjustment, but I got my routine down, and I just started running. And November, I got my double diamond bonus back, and things were good. So fast forward through the holiday, which just my volume was just going up and up and up, and things were really, really going good. I had some really great team members that were brought on board, and it was a really strong team we were building. So went to conference in January. They announced the double good bonus. I knew this was my time. I was going to hit triple, and I was going to go for presidential. So came home from conference and was just ready to go. And my team, I had a huge team there with me at conference, and they were just so excited to hit diamond and double diamond and change their future, and I couldn't wait to help them do that. And so in in January a little bit, my daughter had, it's flu season, right? So she got the flu, and that was kind of, she had the flu shot. So the fact that then she got the flu which was really a kind of the weirdest flu I've ever seen. It lasted like one day, high fever one day, and then she was on Tamiflu, and it knocked it out right away. And then a couple weeks later, she had a low-grade fever, like 99.6, 99.7, never got higher than that, but she was super lethargic. So you would have, looking at her, you'd be like, she wouldn't get out of bed. She acted like she had 105 fever. So I thought it was a virus, but after a couple of days, I took her into her pediatrician again, and they did a strep test, and they said that she had strep throat. So they put her on an antibiotic. This was like early February at this time. And they put her on an antibiotic, a 10-day antibiotic. And as she was on that antibiotic, fever went away, which was great. And she was back at school, and I picked her up one day from school. And later that night was giving her a bath, and she said, look at these like little red dots on my legs. And they looked like a pinhead, so like the tip of a pin. They were about that size, and they were just dark red dots, but they weren't raised to the skin. I just was like, oh my gosh, does that hurt? Does it itch? And looking at her legs, and there wasn't a lot of them. It was like 10 on each thigh. And she was like, no, it doesn't even feel like anything, doesn't hurt, nothing. So that was really weird. And then the next day when I picked her up from school, first thing she said when she got in my car was, Mama, I've got those bumps are now all over my stomach and even more on my legs. So I looked at them right away, and then, of course, made her an appointment to see her pediatrician again, because I honestly thought she's having an allergic reaction to the antibiotic. Made perfect sense to me. She's on an antibiotic. She's got to be having a allergic reaction. So I took her in, and I'm from San Antonio, and so we were going to go to San Antonio that weekend. And so, the pediatrician, when we got into the doctor's office, and she was on like day 7 of antibiotics at this time, and when they took her temperature, they said, it's 99.6. And I remember looking at the poor little nurse that was taking her temperature and just said, what? She has a fever? How does she have a fever? She's on antibiotics. Like, how do you have a fever if you're on antibiotics? She was like, I don't know, but the doctor will be right in, like, didn't know how to handle me. And so that was really kind of crazy. So the doctor told me to watch it, and if it got any worse, to make sure I called her and we could FaceTime or whatever, since we were going out of town. So when we went to San Antonio on 2 different occasions, so first my dad said, my daughter's name is Sadie, so he said to me, he's like, Sadie looks super, super pale. And I had noticed, but it's also winter, but she's usually like a very tan child. So I said, yeah, I know, that's really weird. And then the next day my sister said the same thing. She was like, Sadie, is she feeling okay? Like, she looks kind of green, like almost like stomach virus green, like super pale that she's almost green. And so that was enough for me to be like, oh, I don't know, that's so weird. And so I kind of thought, well, she must be anemic or something, now she must have anemia. She must be anemic. So when we got back that Sunday night, Monday morning, we had a terrible ice storm, so there was no school on Monday. So I called her pediatrician first thing that morning to make an appointment, and since no one could get into the office, the pediatrician actually answered the phone, so I got lucky there. And I told her pediatrician, she's, really pale, and I'm not really sure if this is like part of the reaction or what's happening, but she said, why don't we just do some blood work and just, find out what's going on, see if she's anemic. So that Tuesday afternoon, the next day, because it was super icy, I couldn't get out, the next day, at about 3:30 in the afternoon, I took her to go get her blood drawn. And, she felt totally fine. I mean, you would think healthy child, like full of energy, just totally normal, just super pale at this point. And even the red dots had kind of gone away at that point. And so the next day on Wednesday morning, I'm starting my day. It's about 8:30 in the morning. Kids are at school the first day back from, the ice storm. So the first day back at school, and my husband calls me at about 8:30 and says, literally what he said to me was, I'm going to try to stay calm. The pediatrician just called, and we're supposed to get Sadie and go to her office, and then she's sending us to Children's Medical Center in Dallas, so the Children's Hospital there. He said something is wrong with Sadie's blood. So I immediately burst into tears. I was like, oh, my gosh, she's going to be okay. He said, I don't know, just go get her. And so I went and got her, and I'm sorry. Whew. So I went and picked her up from school, frantic, had no idea what is going on, and met my husband. He met us there at the pediatrician's office, and it was one of those things where you walk into the office and it's everyone there knows what's going on, but you don't. So they're almost looking at you with sympathy. So it was that kind of look. And I knew it wasn't good, but I had no idea what it could be. So we walk into the office, and she sits us down, and the pediatrician comes in and says, Sadie's sitting on my lap. And she said, we got Sadie's blood results back, and the blood results show that Sadie has acute leukemia, and I need you to take her to Children's Medical Center right away. So she said, go pack your bags. You're going to be there for a while. So go get your things and just, get there when you can. Take your time, get there safely. And so at that moment, our whole entire world stopped. Everything stopped. And we picked up my son, and we went to Children's, and, by that, they talked to us, and they confirmed that Sadie had acute lymphoblastic leukemia, or ALL for short. And they checked us into the hospital. They, talked about putting a port in the next day, and so she was going to be having surgery the next day, and everything happened so fast. Literally that night she had her first chemo treatment. And we were like, what is happening? We had, of course, seen, we've always donated to St. Jude. And so we, thought we knew about leukemia, and now know that we knew nothing about it. Now we know a lot, but, and so for about 2 weeks, I didn't know what to do. For the first week, it was just a blur, and I just didn't leave her side. I mean, we stayed at the hospital for a week, and then we were home. We got sent home after a week, got her port put in and everything, and we were home for a day and a half, and then she got a fever. And the thing is the treatment's 2.5 years long, but if they get any fever over 100.5 at all during that time, it's like, boom, you are back in the hospital fast. And so she got a fever after we were home one day. And so we packed our bags back up and headed back to the hospital, and we ended up being in the hospital for a month. So during that month, it was crazy, and it was busy, and I thought, I don't even know what to do or how to work anymore. I didn't leave the hospital at all. My husband didn't either. My son didn't either for the first week. And we just were trying to get accustomed and try to learn and find out what survival rates there were, which they're very, very good. They're like 85 to 90%. And, just figure out what was happening. And then be there for Sadie, which, she was having a lot of pain and already having side effects to the chemotherapy. And it was a really rough road. And so about 2 weeks in, I remember, talking to Stacy, my good friend Stacy, and she, I just told her, I was like, I don't even know how to post anymore. Like, I just had this moment of like, I know I need to. This is the livelihood of my family. But how do you post about your daughter having leukemia and an update with that and then a before and after picture? Like, I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure out where I go from here or how I move on. So I my husband and I were actually going to be attending the It Works University, which was happening in Dallas. And, I wasn't going to go, and obviously both of us couldn't go, but I wasn't going to go. I just did not want to leave her side. And this was probably 2.5 to 3 weeks, probably 2.5 weeks, and was when It Works University came to Dallas. And I already had tickets and everything, and my husband was like, you should go, you need to go, you need to get out, it will be good for you. And Sadie told me, she was like, Mama, you need to go, just go, I'll be fine. And it was a 4-hour kind of training. So I went, and it was very hard. I just sat there and felt guilty, and so there were so many messages from Pam and from Dr. Dawn, and little things during that It Works University that I swear were written for me. It was just, even talk about cancer. I'm like, I've heard Dr. Dawn speak a million times. Why is he talking about cancer right now? I can't handle that. I was bawling mess. And Chantel and Stacy were, close to me, and we just all couldn't believe it, that he was even talking about it. And so I left there, and, with so much support from my team that was there, and then my upline, who's been amazing, and thought, they gave me kind of the strength to know I could keep going. And that next day, Stacy came up to the hospital, and she sat with me, and she visited Sadie, and we sat in the corner of the hospital room, and I just told her, I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to post. I don't know how to work. I just had almost forgotten everything. I kept telling her, I know I need to, but I can't even find my passion. And she told me, she was like, you just got to start. Like, it's there, and I know you can do this. And your team needs you, and it'll be a good escape. And so every little bit, just like you did when you were working full time, just a little extra time post, or just focus on Instagram. Just do Instagram then, if that's, if that's easiest. Just start somewhere and just start going again. And so I posted on my personal page that night, and I almost felt like I needed to justify it to my thousands of friends. And I just told them that, just like any profession and just like anybody's career, this is my career. And I have to keep going, and I have to keep posting, and I have to keep sharing these products, because this is my business. And I felt better just saying I'm back in it, and this is my job, and this is what I do, and so I'm going to keep going. And so I did. So I just started going, and it was in March at this point. And, the little tiny bits that I had, back in touch with my team, and signing distributors and signing loyal customers from the hospital, because pretty much all of March I lived in the hospital with Sadie. And at the end of March, with tears in my eyes, I promoted to Triple Diamond. I got my husband to Double Diamond. So I promoted to Triple, got a $50,000 bonus for the Double Good, and then he promoted to Double, so we got a $30,000 bonus for him. And I couldn't believe it that, really, like, my prayers and God came through, and I was able to touch so many people in the month of March. I actually had the biggest month I ever have had, because I keep all my steps to success, and I had enrolled in the month of March 10 distributors and over 30 loyal customers, and that was my biggest month ever. And it's just crazy, because here I am, my daughter's just diagnosed with leukemia, I'm living in the hospital, my drive and my determination and what I knew I had to do for my family is what got me through it. And so, things are tough and things are hard and life happens, but it is what is inside, and it is by faith and, keeping in touch with sidelines or uplines and then your downline, that are going to help you get through whatever roadblocks come in your way. But I am proof that if you keep going and if you find that inner strength and decide you're going to do it, you will do it. It is all us. We are the only ones that are going to get in our own way and stop us from achieving our goals and our dreams. So you just have to decide that you're going to do it, and then your dreams like your work ethic has to match your dreams. So if you're dreaming big and you want it bad enough, then your work ethic and your drive have to match that. So you go for it and you work and you keep going and you do whatever it takes to make it happen. So now I'm starting Presidential and hoping to close it out this month or next month.
That is amazing. You have such a story. I was just over here bawling. Because a lot of us have done the ups and downs of the business. I really love that you were talking about your business growing through the holidays. Because a lot of times people fall into what they're told is supposed to happen, and that's supposed to be the slow season. And so we get that in our mind, and we're like, oh, okay, well, this is slow. So really we come off of our gas pedal, and then
the holidays aren't slow, we are slow.
Exactly. And I love that because we come off of our gas pedal, we come back off of our business, we get slow, and then all of a sudden the holiday ends and we're like, see, it's just the slow season. But I love that you were talking about how your business, literally grew exponentially during that. And then for you to, go through the hard times of losing a bank, which I'm really sure was probably a big, it's a big kind of bullet to bite. And so this happens. But I love that you just kept going. And then now, you've totally turned around everything and promoted at the hospital bedside of your daughter. And that is, it's a huge story of strength and determination. So what do you think was, really your strong suit? Did you just pull that success out again and just go, I don't know what to do, but I'm going to do this because this is what worked before?
Yeah. I have always, and I'm a big believer in do what works for you. I have people on my team, on my top line that are my diamond leaders that all have different strengths. I've got one that does parties. Like, parties is her way. That's what she's good at. That's how she's built her business. I'm not a party girl, but she is. Yeah. So we just run with the parties on her. So I did what works for me. And I just did the same thing I've always done. I have the steps of success. I have a clipboard that I keep, and I've got the steps of success on it, and I've got my charts and all my team's charts on it. And I take it, I swear, everywhere I go. So I had that. I had all my work stuff with me. I just didn't know what to do with it. So when I started going again, I just pulled out my charts and really kind of figured out what I needed to hit it. And then I just started commenting, posting twice a day. I started private messaging people. That was always my way. I built my business through private cold messages. In terms of me, I don't believe, in terms of my friends, a lot of them don't come to me. I have to go to them. And when I go to them, I've actually been told many, many times, too many times to count, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you messaged me. I've been so interested but scared to ask. And that just keeps me going because I think, how many people out there have been watching me? First of all, everyone is watching you. Even if they're not liking your post or commenting, they are watching what you do. You have to stay consistent and persistent. Those are like the two words. Stay consistent. If you're going to post twice a day no matter what. And so I just started private messaging people that I had been talking to or had or people that I thought would be good at the business. And I just did the same things that I had just always done. It just took me about 2 weeks to get my groove back, and through the support of my upline telling me it's okay, you can do this. And so I just got Steps to Success out and got my charts out, and then started doing the same thing I always had.
I love it. So what kind of self-development do you do? I know this business is tiring, and it's, our cups get kind of empty because we're filling everybody else's. So what do you do to fill your cup? I mean, especially with having a sick baby and other babies.
Yeah, so I call into every conference call. I missed 2 weeks of it because I really did not work for 2 weeks. But I call into every single conference call. So my upline has calls, then there's the Show Me the Money call, then there's the family call. There's lots of calls, and I understand that sometimes people have to pick and choose what they do or what they call into. I personally also, I know in myself that if I wait for their recording, I probably won't listen to it. So I have to, I know in myself I have to listen to the live one. So I get a ton of information and motivation from the conference calls. I also love to search videos on YouTube. There are so many good videos on YouTube. And this from other ambassador leaders or other presidentials or other triples that post videos out there. And if you just search a couple of different, whatever you're looking for, whatever you need, or, if you'll come across some really great videos. And then I love to share those with my team too. And then I love leadership books also. I love Beach Money. That's one of my favorites.
I'm actually reading that one right now. So speaking of conference calls, there's a huge one that we don't want anyone to miss because they're going to announce green carpet tickets. So everybody who's listening, if you haven't gotten your green carpet ticket, you better be on that call. So can you give us one quick tip for working this business?
Just don't quit. I mean, it sounds so easy, but so much of this business is a mindset. And if you make up your mind that this is going to be your future, or that you are going to hit diamond, or you're going to hit the Ruby bonus, or triple diamond, or presidential, or ambassador, or whatever your goal is, get goals. Find out what like what I did is I looked at the pay chart from the very beginning. I mean, I had just signed, and I looked at it and I was like, okay, well, I need to hit triple for my family to live comfortably and for me to be able to quit my job. So from day one, I was like, I'm getting to triple. And now, of course, I'm like, well, I'm going to hit ambassador. It just is not my time. It's not my timing. It's God's timing. And I just work every single day, and I know I'm going to hit it. I don't know when I'm going to hit it, but I know I'm going to hit it. And so if you have that mindset of no matter what, no matter how tough it gets, no matter how many people quit in my downline or upline, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to keep going, and find support to help you do that. So sidelines are so important. I have some really great sideline partners that I turn to. It's so nice to just be able to be like, what do you do? Or can you share this idea? Or what do you post here? Or I'm going to private message people today. What do I send them?
Right.
And then stay connected to your upline, and just, I mean, it sounds silly, but just know in your heart that you're not going to quit. No matter what, I'm not going to quit.
I love it.
And then it doesn't matter. You can go as far as you want because you're not going to quit, right?
Exactly. Well, I am so very thankful that you shared your story. I know that it moved me, and there were parts that I was just like, yeah, that's exactly what I think. So I know that it probably fed into hundreds of people that are listening. So we're excited, and we are going to let everybody hop off and get on the corporate family call. And Sarah, I am going to pray for you and not presidential, because I don't think there's anybody more deserving of a presidential than you.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to be on, and thank you for asking me.
Thank you, and we are praying for your baby, and hopefully you guys will get some rest here soon, and some healing for sure. But you have a great night, and everybody, thanks for calling, and get on that corporate call. Good night, everybody.
Thanks. Bye-bye.